Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Car Reviews podcast with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Before I get into this week's cars, I'll just remind you that we also run the Collector Car Stories podcast, where we talk to an enthusiast most weeks about a car they have, a car collection they have, a car story they have, maybe a road trip, or even an episode of working in the industry. So we're always looking for interesting people and interesting stories to film for the Collector Car Stories podcast. You can hit us up right on the website. There's a contact us link on it, or by email, admin@CollectorCarCanada.CA, and maybe you can be on a future episode. As I say, we have a lot of fun with them, and we'd love to hear your story, and as I say, maybe be on a future episode. Today, the cars. We've got three really neat ones for you on this episode as well. We're going to start with, you might have known, keen viewers of the Car Reviews podcasts here will remember they've seen me standing in front of this mounted laminated Porsche poster before. Most of the cars on it are from the air-cooled era. There are a few water-cooled cars on it. The car I'm going to tell you about was produced after the end of this poster, which I think the most recent car on it's about an 83. But it is from the air-cooled era. It's a really exceptional car. This one is a 1995 Porsche 911, so the 993 generation. It's a 6-speed manual, but and that description as it is special, but it gets even more special when I tell you that this car has an original 3.6 993 air-cooled engine, flat 6 engine, but this one's prepared by Andial. Really keen Porsche observers will know about Andial, and we've got a couple of links on the listing itself for lot number 223, where there's a little more information about Andial, but do your own search and familiarize yourself with this company that was actually purchased by Porsche in 2013. It was really active in the Porsche racing years from its inception in 1975 through the era of 917 and 962 Porsche race cars. So in addition to that, this car is outfitted with many OEM RS and OEM Club Sport appointments. So when we did our research before launching this car, I found that a 1995 Porsche 911, Carrera RS in number one condition is worth over $1 million. So I like to think that this car is as close as you're going to get to that driving experience without spending 7 figures. So please do take a look at it. A couple things to keep in mind for this car is that when buyer premiums, when the price of a car goes over $100,000, any portion of the selling price over $100,000, the buyer premium is 3.99%. rather than 4.99% for the first 100 grand. And the other thing to keep in mind is we offer financing. There's a financing link on every page of the website. So if you are interested in this car and you're wondering about financing, take a look at what we have there. We'll take your application to our lender and try to get you financed for it. So again, a 1995 Porsche 911 from 993 generation with Andial prepared original 993 3.6 liter flat 6 engine, 6-speed manual transmission with lots of RS and Club Sport appointments. Really, the video only starts to touch on them. If you want the full detail, please take a look at our listing on CollectorCarCanada.CA, lot 224, and we've got them all itemized there. I think it might be the most words we've ever had in a listing, but that's appropriate for this car. There's a lot to say about it. Next up is actually two restored British cars, one from the 50s, one from the 60s. So next up is a 1954 Morris Oxford, which has been restored, as they say, in the past 11 or 12 years. The restoration was completed. Not much use since, maybe 3,000 miles, so the restoration still definitely shows. So a 1954 Morris Oxford with a 4-speed manual transmission. Of course, in the 50s, the domestic cars, the 3 on the tree was quite common. Nowadays, I'm fascinated by them. I learned to drive a manual transmission with, I guess it was a 4 on the floor, but definitely a floor-mounted manual transmission lever. So this one's 4 on the tree, which is different from the domestics at the time, which mostly had 3 on the tree. So the H pattern is for the 4 forward gears, and then of course there's another gear for reverse. So please do take a look at it. Restored to very nice condition. Cream in color, great paint with green trim, and inside there's a nice burgundy interior. The other restored British car we have on this episode is a 1967 MGB GT. So I am used to seeing a lot more MGB Roadsters. I think that it's fair to say that the convertible is a little less rare, they're a little more plentiful. But this one is the coupe, the GT Grand Touring version. I like that it's a 1967, the Canadian centennial year, and also refinished in red. So the restoration on this car was completed in 2008. That's when the lustrous red paint went onto the car. Few miles since, definitely under 5,000, might even be under 3,000 miles since. A couple of appointments on this car that I really notice are the chrome bumpers, which disappeared in the later MGBs. I don't know that I've ever seen an MGB GT with the rubber bumpers, and I think that's because the MGB GTs continued to be produced through the 1980 model year, same with the Roadsters, but they were no longer shipped to North America after 1974. And that's about when the new bumper restrictions and regulations began. So chrome bumpers, and the other really neat period appointment on an MGB is the authentic knockoff wire wheels. So another neat period piece. So 1967 MGB GT with a 4-speed manual transmission, and it's been restored. So here come the cars. Again, the 95 Porsche 911 with Andial prepared 3.6 liter 993 engine, RS appointments that are OEM Club Sport appointments, and a 6-speed manual transmission. Then we have the 1954 Morris Oxford with 4-speed manual transmission. And finally, the 1967 MGB GT with 4-speed manual transmission. The latter two, the two Brits, are both restored. So here they come. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another great car here on the Car Reviews podcast with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Today we've got a 1995 Porsche 911 6-speed manual coupe, which is an amazing car as it is. 993, the last generation of air-cooled 911s, but this one is something special. It's track prep with all kinds of RS and Club Sport appointments, and even better than that, the engine was prepared by Andial. Porsche real purists and aficionados will know the name Andial. A small bit of background on Andial is it's a company started by 3 Germans in 1975, and it's well known for building engines in the 917 and the 962 eras of Porsche racing. Now, almost 40 years later, or 50 years later rather, they're one of the principals is still living, but of course not active in the business anymore. But to lend credibility to the name, Porsche bought Andial back in, I think it was 2013, it might have been 2014, lending further credibility, is that one can buy an 100% cotton Andial t-shirt on the Porsche Design website for the low price of $93. So if that doesn't validate the name Andial, I'm not sure what does. More layman's terms, I think it's probably analogous to AMG and Mercedes, where AMG started customizing and building performance parts for Mercedes-Benz's in the 80s, a little bit later. And then sure enough, Mercedes-Benz bought AMG. Same kind of thing, Porsche bought Andial. It doesn't really capitalize and monetize the name so much. Interestingly, at the end of the 997 911 generation, which corresponds time-wise with the Porsche purchase of Andial, there were 5 GT3 Cup cars produced with Andial livery. Anyway, getting back to the car at hand, as I say, it's pretty exciting to have an Andial engine in this 911 we're offering here at CollectorCarCanada.CA, lot 223. So what I'll do is I'll start the engine, we'll have a listen to the engine itself, and we'll hear the exhaust pipe sing, and then we'll take a little tour of the car. So without further ado. So a nice easy start. I won't claim it to be a cold start. The owner drove the car over here to meet us, but nice easy warm start. And I'll climb out now and we'll do a big section of the video with me holding the camera. So I'll be right over. Okay, so heading back to the rear here in the engine compartment. This engine is a 3.6 liter flat 6 engine for a 993. It is not the engine original to the car. When the owner of this car sort of came into the opportunity of snapping up the Andial engine, he swapped it in, and he just sold the original engine to this car. So technically not a numbers matching car, but the Andial engine certainly adds a lot of value to it, more so than the original engine would. So we've got an RS pulley in place here, and there are modifications to the engine. Please do take a look at our detailed listing for lot 223, and you'll hear about it. You can see right now the AC is not running. We detail that in the detailed listing. You can also see R134A. So if the new owner wants to reconnect, certainly the new refrigerant has been converted over. So I'll stop speaking now. We can get a good listen to this flat 6. Again, a 3.6 liter, stock to a 993, Andial prep, not stock to this car. It's also worth mentioning the burial ram system. I'll take a little look at the engraving here, and same thing. There's a little bit of detail about it on our listing at lot 223. So a nice tidy engine compartment. We'll go down here and take a listen to the exhaust. Okay, there's a good listen at the engine and the exhaust. Being that we don't need to burn fuel for no reason, I'll shut down the engine and we'll take a little tour of the exterior of this 1995 911 993 coupe with 6-speed manual, Andial prepped engine with many RS and Club Sport parts installed. Again, take a look at our detailed listing for lot 223 on Collector Car Canada to get a sense of that. So the car has been refinished in its original midnight blue, and the paint was applied in early 2024. So effectively a brand new paint job on this car, and it shows. I'll try to look for flaws as we circle the car, but we've already done our photos, and If there are any, I didn't notice them then, but I'll keep a keen eye out for them. So here we have an RS splitter up front, and you'll note that there's an air intake there instead of another light lens. The round lens on the right side of the screen right now is the daytime running light. So that's sort of noteworthy because the car is a US market car. When we get inside, you're going to see instrumentation in miles and miles per hour. The current owner lived in Houston, Texas when he bought this car out of Miami in 2002. So he's a 22-year owner, and a few years later he was transferred up to Vancouver, BC. And during that time, he registered the car with the Registrar of Imported Vehicles, RIV.CA, and the importation into Canada was effective. He's been in Ontario for, I think, about 12 years now. So the car's been based in Burlington, Ontario for about 12 years. We'll have the precise dates on that on the Carfax report, clean Carfax, I might add, that's on the detailed listing for lot 223. And just as I say Carfax, it brings up another interesting item in that this buyer's been really upfront with us. Of course, he wants to make the play for the Andial engine because it really does add a lot of value for this car. But there's a clean Carfax in terms of no collisions. However, he has mentioned to us that a fender was replaced because of a track mishap. So it escapes the eye of Carfax, of course, but he's been very upfront about that with us. More details on the detailed listing for lot 223. So I really do like the angle I'm at right now. It really is quite a sexy look on this 993. I mean, a 993 coupe to start with is quite a striking looking car, but with all the RS appointments, this one even steps it up a notch. So getting close to the wheel and tire combo, these are a set of Speedline wheels. So another considerable upgrade with the colored Porsche centers. They're lined in Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, and the tires have very little mileage on them. They haven't been on the car long, but I did notice when we were doing photos that the fronts are dated 2018 and the rear's 2020. The car's been stored in indoor heated surroundings, so I don't notice any wear on the tires, but I do want to be upfront about the dates on them, even though they have under 2,000 kilometers on them. But those Speedlines, certainly they're an easy four-figure, well into the four figures, I suppose. Some might even say 5 figures for those Speedline rims.
You'll also see the big red Porsche branded calipers, as well as the cross-drilled rotors.
Again, the calipers are another RS piece. There's more detail again on the detailed listing about them. So just doing a quick walk around, I do see a bit of a ding here in the driver door. I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up or not, but I'll place a Toonie to its right, and I'm not sure if that will be picked up or not, because it's quite slight, but in the light we're in now, I do notice it. Here's a good look at the profile of the car, and of course it's hard not to notice that rear RS spoiler. Both the front splitter and the rear spoiler are authentic OEM Porsche RS parts. So getting a little closer to the car, you can see that it's equipped with a sunroof. Right now the sunroof is disconnected. All parts to get it functional again are included with the car. Just while I'm thinking of it, it'll be hard not to think of it when I'm in the cabin of the car, but the car was equipped with air conditioning from the factory and of course a heater. Neither one of those is currently connected. You can get fresh air from the blower on the cabin, but that's it in terms of air inside the air circulation inside of the cabin. But again, all parts to reconnect both heater and air conditioner are included with the car, which is again lot 223 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Getting in close at the rear driver's side Speedline, the Michelin Pilot 4S's in the rear are sized at 265, 35, 18. Of course, they've got a Y speed rating.
And up front, it's a staggered setup. Up front, we've got 225 40 R18s, also Y rated. So we got a good look at the engine compartment, but there's a good look at the maybe excessive authentic RS rear spoiler. And we've got the lens going all the way across. Modern 911s only get the lens all the way across if they're a four-wheel drive vehicle. This is rear only, rear drive vehicle. And I think we've got the original exits here, chrome finished, dual exhaust. When the car was dynoed after the Andial engine was installed in the current owner's custodianship, it was turning about 320 horsepower. And I had the pleasure of being in the passenger seat when we filmed some driving videos of the car, which I encourage you to take a look at. Again, lot 223 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. And you'll see that the car not only scoots when it's punched, but boy, does it ever sound good too. So working our way around. So here we are on the sun side of the car, and that 2024 application of the midnight blue paint really does look sharp. More than one person has come over since we started shooting here at this site, and we even got a holler from a SN95 Mustang GT in yellow that this was a nice car. And heck, I guess the guy's right. As much as I like his Mustang, this is really something. So yeah, that's a good look at it, and I'll cruise in again on this front splitter from the passenger side. Again, an authentic Porsche OEM part. One thing the owner wanted us to point out, there's no rust on these rims, but they do suffer from a bit of upset, presumably from some brake dust settling on them. So no scratches, no curb rash, but you can see the speed lines do show some remnants of brake dust that probably wasn't cleaned off right away. So I'd say from where I'm standing now, they look amazing, but if you get really close and you're really choosy, maybe the owner wants to get those refinished. Certainly the value of these rims makes it easy to rationalize the refinishing. So again, 225 40 18 up here in the front, and a 2018 date code for the front tires. And then again on the rear, 265 35 R18 in the rear. And just looking for the date code back here. Oh, here it is. So 2020 for the rear tires. But again, under 2,000 kilometers and stored in climate controlled conditions since they were new. So a nice look at the beauty shot of this 1995 Porsche 911 Carrera Coupe, 6-speed manual transmission with Andial prepped 3.6 liter flat 6 engine. So that's a good look at the exterior. Let's climb inside, and I'll take you through a little tour of the inside, which also has its fair share of track appointments. I'm gonna pull that key to get rid of the warning bell. And so I'm not gonna sit in the car right away so that I can give you a good view of these Recaro seats. Here's a label for them. There's also a photo of this label on the detailed listing if you want to refer to it for all the data regarding the seats. But a pretty high-end Recaro racing, not only seat but seats. Often I see these cars that are both street cars and track cars where only the driver's seat's been changed, but this owner's gone to the trouble of changing both seats. And I did mention the track a few times. Certainly this car is street legal, and I also want to point out that this owner decided to make use of our pre-purchase inspection service. So the car's been inspected, it passed with serious flying colors. The only thing that the inspector noted was this steering wheel, which is aftermarket, as you might guess. It's a Momo.
with Porsche branding ×2. The original steering wheel for this car has an airbag. So the airbag light is on, being that there's no airbag installed in the current steering wheel. The original steering wheel is included with the car. So if you prefer, you can put the original steering wheel in and get rid of that airbag. So a good look at the rear here. The rear seats have been removed. A 911 would have rear seats here in 1995, and there are also some performance parts there we get into on the detailed listing. The carpet may look a bit Spartan to Porsche people. Certainly Porsche, as time goes by, becomes more and more luxurious. But this carpet's been deliberately changed for weight savings on the track.
The sound deadening insulation has been removed for the same reason.
It might be difficult for me to get the camera at the right angle, but there's a look at the floor behind the driver's seat, uncovered. Very clean, very clean. And then the footwell here at the driver and on the passenger side, it's a metal check plate. I think it might be aluminum to save on weight as well. And you can see the 3 pedals, being that it's a manual transmission car. And in the console, we're mostly looking at tan for color. 6-speed manual transmission, and the shift knob's been changed out to a performance part as well. We get right into that on the detailed listing as well. And then the instrumentation is stock VDO instrumentation with fuel gauge, oil pressure, oil temperature, and then in a center mounted tack. And it's been slanted so that the needle points straight up at max horsepower readings. So that's a very common thing for track cars. You see it a lot on 944s, actually, Porsche 944s. And there's a look at the Speedo topping out at 180 miles per hour. Again, a US car originally delivered in Miami, purchased by this owner out of Miami when he lived in Houston, Texas. And it shows under 90,000 miles. And there's a functional clock. It right now is 5:05, so the clock is still functioning. And then in the center here, we've got the normal factory complement of controls. So 4 ways, power locks, and window switches. Or sorry, that's a sunroof switch, but it's, as I said, deactivated right now. A modern head unit and rear defrost and fog light control there. There's quite a nice sound system to go with that head unit. We've got Polk speakers in the doors, as well as these tweeters up here. And there's a good look at the passenger's footwell. The ashtray is just a push in and it slides right out, nice and clean. And then the glove box is over here, also perfectly clean here. Nothing in it right now. So, and there are the HVAC controls. Again, right now, fresh air only in terms of HVAC. So another good look at the door card. So this, to save weight again, the standard door latch has been removed in favor of this strap. And then the door pull is very basic as well. A typical 911 would have a map pocket built into an armrest with the door pull. But again, to save weight with the track use of this car in mind, the straps in place for the latch, and then just a basic door pull. So I think that's a pretty good tour of the interior. I'll walk around the exterior again. Oh, I don't think I've shown you underneath in the front trunk. I'll do that right now. Very clean again. There are lots of photos of what's underneath the carpet here that we'll show in the video on our detailed listing for lot 223. So for the sake of the video, I'm not going to peel the carpet back. I'll just show off how clean it is here, and know that the stock space saver deflated spare tires under there as well, with a bunch of other fluids and controls. Again, please take a look at the photos of it on our detailed listing. So we'll take one further walk around the exterior. Again, a 1995 Porsche 911 993 generation coupe with 6-speed manual transmission and the Andial prepared 993 3.6 liter flat six engine. Again, this car's just been refinished in midnight blue, and boy, it does look sharp. It's no surprise that we got some hoots and hollers from passing motorists. So I'll zoom in on this Porsche logo in its normal spot up front, and then we'll move over to some closing thoughts. So that's a good look at our 1995 Porsche 911 993 generation 6-speed manual with Andial prepared 993 3.6 liter flat six engine. Please do take a look at, I missed 6-speed manual transmission. Please do take a look at all of the performance details listed in our detailed listing, which is lot 223 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. You're going to see a whole host of RS appointments, club sport parts that are installed. Of course, we've got the Speedline wheels and the fresh midnight blue refinishing. I'm not quite sure what to say about this car. I've run out of superlatives. It really is a standout. We're really excited to have it on the site. So again, lot 223 on CollectorCarCanada.CA, 1995 Porsche 911 993 generation with 993 3.6 liter Andial prepped flat six engine and a 6-speed manual transmission. Again, please take a look at the detailed listing. There's so much more to say about this car. For now, thank you for watching, and on to the next car. Hi everyone, and welcome to another great car here on the CollectorCarCanada.CA podcast. Today we're looking at a 1954 Morris Oxford. If you're not familiar with the Oxford, you might be familiar with the Morris Minor. Think of this Morris Oxford as the big brother of the Morris Minor. So this car is, as I say, a 1954 model. We're going to have it as lot 220 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. I normally start these videos by starting the car and giving a listen to the engine and the exhaust, but I've decided not to do that with this car just because of my lack of familiarity with it and fiddling with the choke. And I think we have a really fastidious owner. I didn't ask, but I think he'd prefer if I not start it. And I prefer not to start it either because being a little unsure, I didn't want to mess with something I don't know. But the good news is we have our normal startup, engine idle, and exhaust video on the detailed listing. So again, check out lot 220 on CollectorCarCanada.CA, and you can hear the car start, you can hear the engine run, and you can hear the exhaust during idle. And we've also got several driving videos with the car accelerating, the car braking, and the car cruising along at highway speed. So you're not missing much, I don't think, with me not starting it in this video. We've got several other videos to cover it. So with that introduction, I think it's time for me to come over and grab the camera and hold it in my hand, and we'll take a little tour of this 1954 Morris Oxford. Again, lot 220 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. While I have your attention, I'll just mention also that we have the Collector Car Stories podcast, where we talk to an enthusiast once a week, talk about his or her car stories, maybe a road trip they've done, just talking to an enthusiast and hearing about their idea of the hobby. We have a lot of fun with it, so please take a look. And if you think you might be a good subject for a Collector Car Stories podcast, please contact us. You'll find a contact us page on the website at CollectorCarCanada.CA, or you can just drop us a line by email, admin@CollectorCarCanada.CA. On to the closer up look at this 1954 Morris Oxford. All right, so here's a nice golden hour look at the 1954 Morris Oxford. We'll call it a cream colored paint with green trim, green wheel covers as well, green bumpers. And that's on, I guess you call it a burgundy or maroon interior. And the reason I'm over here on the passenger side is because that's where the hood release is. The hood release is right here. So I'll give that a yank. Nice easy release. Over to the front, and there's another release here, but I've already done it. It's quite simple. Up it goes, and there's what props it open, and it's into place. So yeah, the power plant on this 1954 Morris Oxford, 1500 cc's. So the equivalent of a 1.5 liter, not a big engine. You can see an inline 4 with the spark plug wires hanging up, and you can even see the plugs. Factory rated 40 horsepower, 4-speed manual transmission on the tree. So 4 on the tree. We talk about 3 on the tree for domestic period cars. This one's a 4-speed. And there's some factory data, car number and engine number right there. But overall, a pretty tidy package here under hood. Another serial number here on the firewall. Gives a good look at it. So as I say, we didn't start it for this video, but we have a video dedicated to starting it on the detailed listing. Again, CollectorCarCanada.CA. This one's lot 220. And we've got our typical start, engine idle, and exhaust on there. So please do take a look at that video right there on the detailed listing. So we always have a video right beside to the left of CCC Vital Info on the detailed listing, and then we'll have the startup, engine idle, and exhaust as the first video after the text of the listing, so after all the paragraph form. So getting a good look at this 1954 Morris Oxford. There's a neat little nameplate right there, an emblem right there. Passenger side mirror. Not every car in 1954 would have offered that. And I think I saw 15-inch wheels on the car. That's right, 15-inch wheels. So they're a Nexen tire, a modern radial tire, SB802. But the tire size is 165/80 R15, and a T speed rating on these, 87 load rating. So the owner told us a little bit about when he restored the car, going back over 10 years. I believe he said he had it about 11 years. So it was a restoration. You can see he didn't chintz on the paint, but he did save a little money on not getting the wheel covers or the bumpers re-chromed. So you can see they're painted green to match other parts of the trim on the car. So yeah, very, very presentable body and paint job. There is a flaw over on the driver's side fender, so I'll show that to you in a minute when we get there. But other than that, I'm not picking up many flaws. Other than the bumpers. The bumpers do show a little bit of distress. You can see the rear one, it's got a bit of a mark here. And the front one, there's a bit of stone chipping, but amazingly the stone chipping is limited to the front bumper up front. So I did see those tail lights in action earlier, both for parking lights and brake lights. You can see that the owner's added a middle brake light there for safety. And I really like this. I couldn't help but ask about it. This is a local car to Coburg, Ontario, and this is the authentic original selling dealer. The decal, however, is a reproduction. So this is the decal that would have left the lot with, but a reproduction decal. The original, well, I won't say original color of the car. The car was black when the owner got it. So in all likelihood, that decal was a different color when it left the lot. But overall, very presentable car. I like that handle for the trunk. We'll show you that after the interior. And then chrome as well for the gas cap here. I like that green strip, protective strip along the doors as well. It really does pop with the green accenting. Quite like it. Another neat feature are the vent windows. And here's the side mirror on the driver's side to match that over on the passenger side. And I mentioned a mark here on the paint on the front fender. Here's a look at it. There's a toonie to give you a sense of perspective. Matching Morris Oxford emblem badge on this side as well. I'll call it a splitty windshield, two-piece, split down the center with the chrome arms for the wipers. And when you talk chrome, you gotta get a load of that grille. And even the headlight surrounds and coming up from that center emblem, the chrome is really presentable. Not perfect, but quite presentable. It really does catch the eye. And then, as I say, amazingly, the stone chip, there are stone chips up here, but amazingly they're limited to the bumper. I see some marks inside the grille, but those are just bugs that have gotten in the way of a summer evening drive. The current owner says he brings it to the odd show and the odd Sunday church service, but that's about the extent of the use he gets from it right now. So there's a good look at the exterior. We'll take a look inside as well. I talked about the chrome. There is a slight bit of pitting on these door handles. You really do need to get close to see it. From here with the naked eye, I can almost see it, but now that I'm more like 7 feet away, I can't. Just to give you a sense of how it presents. So on the interior, well done interior as well, back with restoration up around 10 years ago. Maroon on the seats, and it's a vinyl maroon bench. No seat belts in the car, so that would have been the stock, and they're not a requirement. However, if the new owner wants those, you can always install them. These black mats are just protective. You can see that matching maroon carpet, beautiful condition. See 3 pedals there. I think I mentioned it's a 4-speed manual transmission, 4 on the tree. So as you probably gathered from me not wanting to start it for this video, I've not driven the car, but I was in the car for the driving videos we shot, and it takes a little bit of experience or coaching to get the car into reverse. Of course, in the period, 3 on the tree was quite common domestically, and that was a classic H pattern. But of course, the H pattern on this car is 1 through 4, and then reverse is a little farther away and lower. This here is the turn signal, the indicator. You can see that in action in one of our driving videos as well. This light up here flashes to indicate to the driver that the indicator is engaged. Up here on this hard dash is an ashtray. There's a clock here, which is a beautiful period piece. However, it's non-functional. I did see the speedometer operating during the driving videos. It's not accurate to the mile. And here are the keys. Fun to look at the Morris badge right on the key fob. And it looks like the owners added a water or coolant temperature gauge as an add-on. So yeah, and you can see some vents here for defrost. The headliner's in beautiful condition as well. As you can see, it's a maroon with the matching visors for both driver and passenger. Very functional door cards. I've got a strap for a door pull, and that's the door latch and the window. I'd actually like to try showing you the window operation. It might be hard just to be a contortionist to do it, but It's a really easy action. And the window goes right on up and down without much resistance at all. And I noticed that at all four windows. So yeah, that's a good look at the front area of the cabin. Take you for a short look at the back seat as well. Matching bench here in the rear in the maroon. The protective black mats just like up front with a maroon carpet underneath. There's an ashtray for the rear passengers. I don't think this car has been smoked in, certainly since the restoration, maybe never. And there's a look at the parcel shelf, courtesy light, and there's a good look at the headliner. So beautiful condition for the headliner. Well, each of the door jambs is emblazoned with a Morris logo just like that. Being that I'm right here, I'll show it off for the front as well. And a bit of a running board for a step to climb in for the front seat passengers. Another look at the painted rim and to match the color of the car, and the painted wheel cover to match the accenting. So there are a few things in the trunk, but let's take a look. So that's just a simple latch. Open her up, and much like the front hood, there's an arm in there. Just needs to be set, and that's locked into place. So burgundy carpeting in the trunk as well, a couple extra floor mats, and your basic tire change kit and some tools over here. And mounted horizontally is a spare tire right here. A little bit of space in that trunk, and interesting that the Brits, I've seen this in more than one Brit car of the period, where the spare tire is kept separately from the cargo area. So we just need to release that bar. There we go. Close that, and then we close the latch, just like so. So I'll take you around one more time, and then we'll finish up with some concluding thoughts on this 1954 Morris Oxford. It's lot 220 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. All right, so that's our look at the 1954 Morris Oxford. Again, it's on CollectorCarCanada.CA as lot 220. 1.5 liter power plant up front, an inline 4-cylinder engine, factory rated at 40 horsepower. It's got a 4 on the tree manual transmission, so 4 speeds shifted on the column, and reverse a little trickier to find until you get a couple of drives under your belt. Manual transmission sending the power to the rear wheels. CollectorCarCanada.CA, lot 220, a 1954 Morris Oxford, restored as you see. And I'll just say thank you for watching, and on to the next car. Bye for now. Hi everyone, another great car here on CollectorCarCanada.CA. This one is a 1967 MGB GT. So a lot of us are familiar with the MGB Roadsters, that they're ragtop convertibles. There are a lot fewer GTs, so Grand Touring model, with the fixed roof as you see here. So this one, 1967 model, nicely restored. Paint's about, I believe, 10 years old. Check our detailed listing for the actual figure on that. But it's a really nice paint job. I'm quite impressed by it. What we'll do is we'll start up the engine and then take a look at it. We'll take a listen to the engine and the exhaust, and then we'll have a little tour of the car. So here we go with the 1967 MGB GT. Pretty nice, easy start. I didn't even give it any gas. I won't claim that to be a cold start. I did just drive the car over to this site from our staging area today. I'll add that the odometer reads 70,303. I can't be sure about that mileage at the moment. I'll look into that with the owner and documentation on the car, but it does read under 71,000 miles. So I'll release that hood. Got it, no problem at all. Another look at the fine red paint on this 1967 MGB GT. In my mind, I'm having a little fun with 1967 being centennial year for Canada, and the MGB GT is painted red. How appropriate for a car in Canada. So, this might be a little tricky with just one hand. Oh, there we go. Nice and easy. And this drops down, I know. Let me slide that prop rod into place, and away we go. So you can see how that prop rod works. It's actually fixed on the hood and drops down. So this engine, a 1.8 liter, 1.8 liter, it was rated from the back at 95 horsepower. So a true sports car of the time. Not so much on the power, but it's more about handling and the bends. Twin SU carburetors in this car, and it comes equipped with a 4-speed manual transmission. Neat MG emblem here on the grille, and I do know that this AA is the Automobile Association of Great Britain, sort of the British equivalent of the CAA here in Canada. And a lot of British car owners, I find, at the shows and such, like to have an AA badge on their car. They have a little fun with an extra touch of British on the car. So I head back to the exhaust here. We're gonna have a little listen to the rumble here from the polished tip, single exhaust. So I'd suggest that exhaust sounds even better at load. We do have some driving videos in our detailed listing. So in addition to this video, please do have a look at that. Yeah, a little look at the underside of the hood. Down it goes. So, authentic knockoff wire wheels on this car. I noticed the tires are sort of authentic looking. 185/75 R14 S speed rating. And the brand is Aurora steel belted radial on this car. But the authentic knockoff wire wheels are sure a nice touch on this 1967 MGB. Fixed antenna in place. As we go by, I'm going to cut the engine. As you see, the ignition's in the center stack here underneath that more modern head unit. We've got a side mirror on the driver's side. Driver's side only for the side mirrors, nothing on the passenger side. But one nice thing, of course, a 95 horsepower 4-cylinder out of Britain. It's not going to be equipped with air conditioning, but these vent windows sure are great. I'm not sure why the industry stopped making those, because you can get those at a certain angle and it blows cool air. Well, it blows the wind right to where you like having it. And it's a hot day today. It'd be nice to have today. Speaking of windows, these rears open as well. I'm not sure if my shoulder will allow me to open that. Oh yeah, I can. So there's a good look at that rear window open. So that helps with air circulation through the car as well, being that there is a rear seat. We'll get a little closer in a minute. Here's a look at the wire wheel, knockoff wire wheel in the rear. And I do note the drum brake setup here in the rear. So that'd be a stock setup, front discs and rear drums on this car. And an indicator to me that this is an earlier B is that these rear lenses are red only. There was some amber into them a little later. Another indication is the chrome bumpers in the 70s. I think it was after the MGB's GT's run. But the B Roadsters, the later 70s, 1980, they have a black rubber bumper here. So maybe this chrome is a little prettier than the black. This chrome, it's pitted a little bit. It's not perfect, but it's very presentable. It's pitted a bit. Not perfect. There's that polished tip for the exhaust exit. And a couple of bumperettes here. These are lights, actually, on the other side for the license plates. Cool emblem there, MGB GT. I'm not sure if this is unlocked or not. I think it's locked. But we do have pictures of inside the hatch on our detailed listing. Fuel cap on the rear with a locking mechanism. I'll open up that rear side window on this side as well. How do you like that? So as well as having a function of helping with air circulation through the cabin, they look pretty neat as well, I'd suggest. So yeah, chrome strip for a rub strip down the side, and our 4th knockoff wire wheel up here. And a pretty familiar front end. This should look familiar to people who are familiar with MGB Roadsters. Pretty much the same thing. Although I will point out that the indicators have some amber and some white, not just the amber. Chrome for the windshield wiper arms. And let's go take a look at the inside of the car. So, Smith's instrumentation, as you'd expect on a late 60s British sports car. Tachometer that goes all the way up to 7,000. We've got an orange line at 5,500 and a red line around 6,200. 120 mile per hour speedometer, and there's that odometer reading a little under 71,000 miles. Trip odometer, fuel gauge over here, and then that's looking like a couple of gauges there. We'll get a closer look at it. And here we go with a modern head unit. We'll get some details about that onto our detailed listing. And there's a choke. I didn't need the choke to start the car today. And then just some knobs for ventilation and HVAC. And a tiny little glove box. This is the radio speaker, and this modern head unit's got this remote control. Not sure if you need it in this little MGB GT, but there it is. Good look at the 4-speed manual shifter. An ashtray, which is pretty well mint condition. That's just a plastic bag that's stowed away in there. Handbrake in place. And with the restoration, these seats got reupholstered, smart red with white piping. They are vinyl, not leather, but they sure do look smart in this car. They just pop right up. And here's a look at the rear bench. And there's a sun visor. I note that the passenger side visor is missing, so here it is. Small bench for the rear seat passengers. Yeah, you could put 2 people in there for a short run, or children for a little bit longer. And a good look at the hatch. So we've seen the engine compartment, we've seen the exterior, the interior. I'll take one more walk around this 1967 MGB GT and finish up with some concluding thoughts. So just a few concluding thoughts about the 1967 MGB GT. Again, the GT implies a fixed roof, GT for grand touring. And this car comes equipped with a 1.8 liter inline 4-cylinder engine. That's the pumpers are a twin pair of SU carburetors. There's a 4-speed manual transmission sending power to the rear wheels. So rear drive, and originally rated at 95 horsepower. So this car is more about probably the rural roads and the bends. An enjoyable driver. Beautiful restoration. We do have a really comprehensive set of photos and more videos on the detailed listing, so please look at those. I don't have a lot number for you right now, so please just search 1967 MGB GT on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Thank you very much for watching, and it's on to the next car.